Glad to have you watching this edition of the Tennessee Conservative News. My wife just made the best bowl of chili, and I dug in for lunch, had a great lunch, got to catch up on some state and local news. So, as many of you are watching this, whether you are taking a break from work or if you are at home, and you obviously have nothing better to do than to watch me do this broadcast, I welcome you to the Tennessee Conservative Newsbreak. If this is your first time coming to the Tennessee Conservative Newsbreak, drop us a comment in the comment section and say, hey, my name's Brandon Lewis and I'm listening from Chattanooga, Tennessee, or my name is Bob Jones and I am listening from the Tri-Cities area. I always like to know where you all are from, and if there's a story that you think we should cover or you think we should know about or you've got a question about, if you'll leave those in the comments section, we try to get to those. And if you have yet to sign up for our e-newsletter, go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com, and we go into more stories and we go into those in greater detail than I do here at the Conservative Newsbreak. And also, we dig into the details there. And if there are links to articles or source documents or to other legislators or individuals, you can go straight there and see those. So that's a helpful thing too. Let's get right into the news, shall we? So this is the lead story. This is the lead story today, and it's the lead story at the state level. And you would get that in your e-newsletter from TennesseeConservativeNews.com. And here it is. Williamson Medical Center punishes staff for refusing unproven COVID-19 vaccines. This is a big story. And this story is also the reason we've been pushing so hard in subcommittees and committees where Republicans are refusing to protect medical freedoms, especially people that are in healthcare. And we'll get into this and talk to you a little bit about that. And this is a very sad story. So the Williamson County Medical Center, and it's right in Franklin, Tennessee, is forcing employees who have not received the COVID vaccine, 19 vaccine, to use personal time off instead of sick days if they are in quarantine or sick with coronavirus. So this means that, for example, if you work there, if you're on the janitorial staff, or if you interact with patients, we don't know what the designations are or if there are any exceptions, because when we reached out to the Williamson Medical Center by email, phone, etc., they wouldn't get back to us. And they are basically saying that if you get sick with COVID, or if you are in quarantine just because you've been in contact with somebody else, depending on the CDC guidelines, you don't get to use your sick days. You have to take personal time off. So a source anonymously, we protected their identity. A source employed by WMC spoke to the Tennessee Conservatives under condition of anonymity because they were fearful of losing their job if they spoke out against the policy publicly, which you can imagine. A lot of these people are afraid that they'll lose their jobs if they have a moral, a conscientious, or religious objection. And this is what the individual said. I wanted to confront HR, but I'm a peacekeeper and I do love my job, but it seems to me very discriminatory and punitive for those who choose not to get the vaccine. It should be our right, and we shouldn't feel ashamed because of it or feel like we're being penalized because of it. The source explained some staff members have already caught and recovered from this, and this policy was rolled out after that. And so now they're kind of in this double jeopardy situation where not only did they have natural immunity, and this policy rolls out, but now they're being punished even further. And so one Tennessean took to social media and said they are creating classes of employees based on vaccine status. While employees are not being forced to be vaccinated, they are given different sets of benefits. And this is the type of medical discrimination. As a conservative, we should want to protect our individual rights and our liberties, right? That's what we're about as conservatives. But we've got a lot of Republicans that have, because the Tennessee Hospital Association or Medical Association gave them a bunch of money, they decided that they're not going to protect the medical freedoms of first responders. And this happened in the Senate. This happened in the House. Farrell Hale stopped one bill with Bo Watson, and in the House, Robin Smith stopped another one. And this is the type of stuff we've been warning people about. We've been trying to sound the alarm that this type of infringement on your medical freedoms, it's coming. And if we let these lobbyists that give money and influence these associations, the Medical Association, Tennessee Medical Association, and the Hospital Association, they're just going to run roughshod over the rank and file Tennesseans who are actually putting on the care, not the administrators, not the administrators up in their ivory towers and in their offices, not the people who are making $1 million an hour or have big, huge bonuses and benefit packages, but rather the frontline janitorial staff, the people giving patients care, the folks that are there doing the grunt work. They're the ones that are being punished here. So keep an eye on this stuff, guys, and go to the article at TennesseeConservativeNews.com and check this out. Second story, dangerous bill could end full transparency of local governing boards if not amended. House Bill 509, you need to watch this one, and you probably need to reach out to your legislators and tell them this is a bad idea. It's set to be heard by the State and Local Government Committee today. If this bill continues to advance, it will pave the way for local government to hold all meetings electronically and for those officials to vote via telephone, eliminating public access to those meetings or votes as it's written, okay? The bill, sponsored by Representative Clark Boyd, and you can go to this story and go directly to his link, a Republican from Lebanon, would allow local utility authorities to meet by electronic means instead of in person, as written, and this is the important part, as written, the bill does not provide any limitations on when or why a member could choose to meet electronically. There also is no specifications regarding how to provide public access to the meeting if the entire body chooses to meet electronically for some reason. Representative Darren Jernigan of Nashville voiced concerns over the public being unaware of how members of the board voted. And you're not going to know how your person voted, Jernigan said. If you are at the meeting, you can walk up and ask them. As currently written, the bill does not require that the meeting is done via a platform such as Zoom, where the public would have access from their homes. It only requires that phone or video access be provided. The wording would allow boards to set up a speakerphone or video viewing area at a government location, making it more difficult for individuals to access. It's already hard enough to follow these meetings, these arcane meetings, and we do it here at the Tennessee Conservative News that are in committees and subcommittees, even though we have a fantastic website at the state level. And so it's just a big deal. Richard Briggs, a Republican from Knoxville, stated constituents basically are being disenfranchised and they don't have a voice on how the laws are passed and how things that could affect their districts are done. So keep an eye on that. Third story, Tennessee House passes measure to make COVID relief tax deductible for businesses. Some Tennessee businesses could receive more COVID-19 pandemic assistance after a bill that would exempt relief funds from state taxes unanimously passed the House on Monday night, as well it should. I think it's important that we don't tax these businesses on fund that they need to keep up and running, said Representative Patsy Hazelwood, a Republican from Signal Mountain, who's right here in my hometown. We're actually moving up there. Thank you for these words, Patsy. Said last week during a discussion in the House Finance, Ways and Means Committee, the bill, associated Senate bill scheduled to be discussed Tuesday, which I guess that's today now, in the Senate Finance, Ways and Means Committee. The Tennessee General Assembly Fiscal Review Committee estimated the state would forego $9 million in revenue over the next 2 fiscal years should this become law. And there's a quote here from Quinonez. Man, that's a hard one. Quinonez. I knew based on being with them in the classroom every day, observations we're doing, testing we're doing, we're meeting those students' needs. I think we might have missed a headline here somewhere. This is a reading initiative. We're just going to skip over that one because it does not have a headline. Let's go to the national stories. All right, here we go. National. A third of Illinois small businesses closed due to government-imposed COVID mitigation measures. Now, here in Tennessee, it's been better than a lot of other states. But being better than a sucky standard is not great. Looking at someone who is an underachiever, and then you're just an underachiever and saying, "Oh, look how good we're doing," doesn't cut it. So we've been lucky here in Tennessee, but the fact is, constitutional, religious, and economic liberties should not ever be infringed because they'll always manufacture an emergency. And this pandemic has not been what they have told us to do. The folks that have died with versus the folks that have died from COVID are completely different. And these are individual health decisions that people should be making. And hopefully, if something like this ever comes back again, they are putting safeguards in at our state legislature to make sure that we're not in this picking winners and losers business like we have been. And everyone who went along with this in the legislature and at the executive branch in Tennessee should be ashamed. And I think they should have to pay a price in the primaries. Back to Illinois. Businesses of all sizes have struggled during the COVID-19 pandemic, but it has been especially difficult for smallest businesses in Illinois, which face tougher mitigation measures than in other places. Illinois Policy Institute found that 35% of small businesses in Illinois, this is why we don't want to be a place like that, are now closed compared to before the pandemic. That's amazing. The analysis also showed 50% of small businesses in the food service and accommodation industry and 51% of the leisure and hospitality industry have closed. And these are also, Illinois is a terribly managed state. Awful. Democrats have ran that place in Chicago into the damned ground. And we have people, these little left-wing leftist organizers all over Tennessee popping up in every metropolitan area that want to turn our state and want to turn in Nashville, which they're doing a damn good job there, they want to turn Nashville into the type of hellhole that Chicago is, and Portland, and almost all of California. And so you see people like Cooper in Nashville and other people, and this is where they're heading. They want to punish small business. They want to dictatorially push down on them until they get rid of them. You know why? Because small businesses and small business owners are centers of resistance. If you're watching this and you're a conservative small business owner, you're probably a small center of resistance. Guess what? These big, huge corporations, as evidence in a lot of the freedoms that have been pushed back on in these legislative committees, the politicians love dealing with big corporations because big corporations will just fund money. They'll throw it in there. They'll write bills for them. They'll do all the thinking for them. They'll help them campaign. And all they want is your political soul. That's all they want. And so this is one reason I think liberals and leftists in general want to make sure that they crush small businesses, because we're the people that will push back and fight back for our liberties. Over 38% of small businesses in educational and health service industry are still closed, the sixth most in the nation. This is an embarrassment to the American way of life and to freedom and liberty. And the fact that politicians have put small business owners in this awful predicament is just really unforgivable. Foreign billionaire conspired to violate election law and straw donor scheme. Surprise, surprise. A Lebanese Nigerian billionaire agreed to pay the U.S. government $1.8 million to resolve allegations that he conspired to violate federal election laws and a straw donor scheme and route illegal foreign contributions to the U.S. presidential and congressional candidates. Gilbert Chargoy, a foreign national prohibited by federal law from making contributions to political groups or campaigns to influence the U.S. elections. China's been doing this for a long time, guys. China's been doing this for a long time. They play in almost all of our presidential elections, and it's never for the conservatives, because they know the conservatives, like the Trump administration, will take a strong stance against China, and they're going to put sanctions on China, and they're going to make them deal in their currency fairly, where the Biden administration, on the other hand, they're pushovers. And China knows this, and that's why they've been ratcheting up the things that they're doing. That's why migrants come pouring over the southern border, because everyone knows that a leftist, globalist regime is always going to be easy to manipulate, and they have been proven right time and time again. The Justice Department's release did not identify the donors or candidates by name, but the amounts in court records match Federal Election Commission contribution records for the Joint Fundraising Committee supporting the 2012 bid of Senator Mitt Romney. Good old Mitt, along with Republican representatives representing 3 states. In addition, more than $1 million in contributions were disclosed by the Clinton Foundation in December of 2008. So, I mean, they didn't solve the problem back then. The same month, then President-elect Barack Obama appointment of Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State was announced. And since President Joe Biden took office, the Clinton Foundation has hosted events featuring the former president, current Vice President Kamala Harris, and various other Democratic Party officials. Okay, Here we go. Chattanooga organizations seek feedback for downtown events, programs, and area planning. River City Company in Chattanooga is seeking feedback for the planning of events in 2021. Here's my feedback. Have all of them. Okay, it's just my personal feedback. You put that in the survey. In downtown Chattanooga, and One River seeks feedback on to help reshape the riverfront. And if you've not come down to our riverfront here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's beautiful. By taking the River City Company programming survey and sharing favorite places and past events, Chattanoogans and visitors to Chattanooga can help determine the type of events. It's important. I think we need to get back to normal. I think we need to get income coming into all of our cities. We've got a huge amount of tourism revenue in Chattanooga and in Nashville. And, when I went the few weeks ago, maybe you saw the video, I went down to Tellico Plains. I'd like to go again. If we have things going on this weekend. That's all I can say. We got things going on. You become a parent. You got things coming on. I wanted to take the family back to Tellico Plains because they weren't there with me. It was kind of a guys camping trip, and there's tourism everywhere. We have got so much to see. Even we went and took a tour just of Marion County. Okay, we're going to the Lodge Cast Iron outlet because I was trying to make a stove out of some cast iron pots and some candles for my teardrop camper, which turned out to be a miserable failure. I'll not relive that with you now. But there's so much to see all over Tennessee, and they have crippled our tourism industry and our hospitality industry with all of this mess. And so I'm really excited to see things open back up because we have lost so many venues. I mean, and so many historic places that have been shut down because of this nonsense, or just because of media fear being pumped into our economy and into our airways by the left wing media. You're never going to get any of that here. We're pro small business. We're pro freedom. And Stuart, Scott, Philip, I appreciate you being here. And I appreciate you tuning in. And if you ever have a conservative that you know of that doesn't know about our conservative news source, forward this to them. And if you go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com, and if you give any amount, and for those of you who hang on to the very end, I know you care. So if you would, guys, go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com, give any amount. I don't care, $5, $10. I'd appreciate more if you can do it. We'll send you 2 Proud Tennessee Conservative bumper stickers. I'll hand sign the letter, send that out to you. And a lot of times I know a lot of you really want to tell your legislators to support or not support a specific bill or initiative, or to protect us from things like vaccine passports. We send you this directory, and you can just have it, and it just hangs up on your fridge. It's kind of lengthy, but you can pick out your representative and do that. And if you give $50 or more, you get this beautiful Proud Tennessee Conservative tumbler. I drank coffee from it this morning, and it added at least 20 IQ points to my standard score of that's frankly probably pretty low. So I needed all the IQ points I could get this morning. So if you've got this, you get $50 and send it in. We'll give that to you because we try to pay our reporters. It takes a lot of time and a lot of money to write even the simplest story and to chase down the leads and the quotes, etc. So if you'd help us out, we'd really appreciate it. Guys, I will be here tomorrow with the Tennessee Conservative Newsbreak. Read our stories, share our posts, and if you think there's something we could do better, contact us. My email is Brandon@TennesseeConservativeNews.com. I will see y'all tomorrow, guys. Love you all. Be careful.